So thanks everybody for your interest in sustainability and renewable energy. I have a short little 2-minute animated video I'm going to show you, and then after that I'll go through some slides and try to leave some time at the end for questions. So, but if you have questions as I'm talking, certainly feel free to ask away, because I think that there are always lots of questions that pop up. So let's see here.
Haven't you always wondered what BEF is? No, it's not that. That's BEF. No, it's not right. BEF is the Bonneville Environmental Foundation. It's a different kind of foundation, one that hasn't had use for conventional thinking since it began back in 1998. It is a national nonprofit organization, but it's also a successful business. You see, BEF funds projects that develop renewable energy resources and restore ecosystems, like this watershed. Most organizations have short-term goals with solutions that often do not last. However, take a look at our watershed program. Our involvement in each partnership is a minimum of 10 years. Taking such a long-term outlook is the only way to make sure our projects are successful. Lasting, permanent changes that keep the environment happy for a long, long time. We've also created a new way of measuring this happiness. We gauge our success by the number of students that participate in our solar schools program, how many communities we've helped build their very own wind farm, and how many people are able to lower their carbon footprint by purchasing BEF offsets, a program we designed to help the environment both today and in the future. Find out how you can become a part of BEF. Help us build something that will be appreciated for generations to come.
Okay, so hold on here. We're a Mac-based office, and I was telling Adam that it's been just a few years since I was in a PC office that,
Don't get him started.
yeah. Okay, so as that video stated, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We're based over in Portland, across the river. Someone asked earlier if we're part of Bonneville Power Administration. BPA was actually part of starting Bonneville Environmental Foundation, which is the group I work for, but we're basically a separate entity. BPA still gives us some money that goes into our solar schools program that I'll talk about in just a minute or two, but we operate really separately from them. So we're not a government agency. We're a 501c3 that works with companies like yourselves. We also work with universities, colleges, utilities, pro sports teams like the Seattle Mariners, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Oscars, the Emmys. A lot of really highly visible organizations will purchase one of the 3 products that we sell, which are in the middle there, the renewable energy certificates, the offsets, or the water restoration certificates, because we're a nonprofit and we're willing to be super transparent with where the money that we get, like from you guys. As Adam said, you took a look at all the electricity used to power the servers and the electricity here in the office, and then came up with a total and said we're using 1,100 megawatt hours of energy to do all the things we do. And right now, because all of the businesses like yourselves have to buy power from the utility power grid, and most of that power comes from coal and fossil fuel sources, when that power is used, pollution is emitted into the atmosphere. So what Dotster did was purchase renewable energy, which is clean, a clean, non-polluting way to power your office and things like that, from a group like us. So then with the profits, so to speak, that we make, we invest in a solar schools program, we invest in new types of renewable energy resources, we do long-term watershed restoration, and in-stream flow enhancement projects. So I'll explain some of those. These are some of the other corporate partners we work with. Dotster is supporting over 1,100 megawatt hours of clean, renewable wind energy. So what does that mean? Because megawatt hours is kind of terms that utility people talk in. And so in more everyday speak, it means that the purchase that Dotster made on behalf of your company kept over 1.5 million pounds of carbon dioxide pollution from being emitted into the atmosphere. So the air is cleaner because of the purchase that Dotster made on behalf of all of the business activities that you guys do. Another way to think about it is over 100 U.S. households were powered for an entire year based on the energy that Dotster purchased from the wind farms to support your business here. Or another way to think about it is 152 vehicles. The pollution associated with over 152 vehicles was kept out of the atmosphere because of the purchase that Dotster made from the nonprofit that I represent. So it really is making really, really good things happen. The air is cleaner, more sources of renewable energy are being built because of you guys and other organizations like yourselves. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a sampling of what you guys, with all of the other corporate partners that we work with, have helped to make happen over the 11 years that BEF has been around. So over 2.5 million megawatt hours of renewable energy have been generated. So when you go out and you're driving in eastern Oregon or eastern Washington and you see those giant wind farms going up, that's actually, those are clean sources of renewable energy that are being generated and supported by groups like us through groups like yourselves. This whole market is called the voluntary market, and in 1 year alone, in 2008, which is the most recent year that data is available for right now, over $100 million came in from individuals, companies like yourselves, and universities that went into fueling the development of those wind farms and solar resources and things like that. So people may think, oh, or even if some of you get your utility from Clark Public Utility, they and a number of the utilities over in Portland have a little box on your statement that you can check if you want your power to come from green power resources. You may think, oh, this is only going to cost me another $5 a month or whatever. What does this really do? It actually all adds up because there are enough people out there like yourselves that are checking that box and having their $2 or $5 or $20 a month add up, that it really all ends up creating a really large amount of money that goes to support the development of clean, domestically produced renewable energy. So that's energy we don't have to ship over from the Middle East or anything like that. It's produced right here in our own backyards. In addition to the wind and the solar, BEF also invests in some more experimental technologies like biodigesters. This is a digester in Washington. It's called Qualco. It's at a large dairy. The digester actually brought together some tribal folks, some water people that were getting upset that there was effluent going into the river that was sort of polluting the river from the large farm. And this digester helped to solve a whole bunch of problems in that energy is actually being created from the waste from the cows, which is, I think it's an interesting solution. BEF also helped, thanks to the support of companies like yourselves, we helped to install solar on a community building in Portland, making it the first community building in the country to get LEED certified. Our Solar Schools program works with a number of schools here in Portland, Vancouver, Camas, but also all throughout the country. And basically, teachers can apply to have a solar system installed on their school for no charge to them. All the money that goes to pay for those systems comes from you guys and the money that we get from Bonneville Power Administration. So we put a solar system on the school. Then the school gets a kiosk where the kids can actually look to see how much energy was generated on their solar system in that school and compare it to schools in California or Florida or other places that we work with. And then the teacher also gets a big box of educational toys and activities that he or she can use in the classroom to teach the kids about renewable energy, with the thinking being that the kids of today are going to be the leaders and the homeowners and the business leaders of tomorrow. So the more comfortable they are with understanding how to work with solar energy, the more they'll be able to make smart decisions in 20 or 30 years when they're out there, you know, buying homes and businesses themselves. On the watershed side, most of the organizations that provide funding for watershed restoration provide 1 to 2 year grants, which means that that group has to constantly be worrying about, gosh, where are we getting our money from next? We need to reapply for another grant. And when BEF started doing watershed restoration, we also were doing the 1 to 2 year grants, and then realized in order to make any really significant changes in a watershed, you really have to look at something over a long period of time. And so we work with a smaller number of community groups. We work with a smaller number of community groups, but we work with them for a period of at least a decade. So we guarantee them a stream of funding, thanks to the support from people like yourselves, that goes to these groups so they can actually track and monitor the effectiveness of what they're doing and really plan over a long period of time. Just last fall, we launched a water restoration certificate program, which basically, right now, all throughout the West, if you have property and it comes with water rights, your water rights are, you basically are in this use it or lose it kind of a situation. So you may have access to, say, 1 million gallons of water with your property, and if you don't use it, you lose it, and your water rights go to the next person in the stream. So it ends up promoting some really wasteful behavior because these rights are really valuable to people. And so they end up having to grow crops in the desert and kind of water their driveway and things like that, just so they're constantly using their water because they don't want to lose the right to own it. With this program, landowners can actually lease their rights back to the environment, and so the water can stay in the river, and they still own it. They still own the right to keep the water right, but they don't have to take it out of the river. So before, you're seeing all throughout the West, there are these streams and rivers where in the summertime they're going dry because so many landowners are pulling water out because they have to pull it out. Now with this program, they can actually leave it in the water, leave it in the river, and then a company or an individual can say, oh, well, I'm trying to be as efficient as possible with my water consumption, but I have to use some amount of water to stay alive. So I want to support this program and make sure that more water is staying in these streams. So this is just in 1 year difference through this program, we were able to restore enough water to the stream to actually make sure that there's water flowing year-round in this creek in Montana, which is great because now fish can actually live there and people can use this water to go tubing down and canoeing down and things like that. This is a visual of how that works. Just in the first year alone, the partners that we're working with on this have helped to restore over 4 billion gallons of water to these dry streams. This certainly isn't why we do the work we do, but we're happy when folks recognize our organization. The Department of Energy picked us as the Green Power Supplier of the Year in 2009, and in 2010 our schools programs won a number of awards and things like that. And we have seals available if you ever want to put any of this stuff on any of your materials. You're welcome to have it if you'd like it, but we don't force ourselves or any of our materials on anyone. With that, I'll open it up to questions. I know there are a lot of topics in this, or that we covered in a quick amount of time. Do you guys have any questions?